First contact in the desert. The New Mexico desert held many secrets, but none quite like the one Raven Blackwood stumbled upon that scorching summer evening. As the sun painted the horizon in shades of amber and purple, her trained eyes caught the unmistakable glint of metal where no metal should be. After 15 years of leading desert survival expeditions, she knew every inch of this terrain, and this was definitely new. Raven adjusted her worn leather pack and began picking her way through the scattered rocks. The wind whistled through the canyon, carrying the scent of sage and something else, something metallic and foreign. Her dark hair whipped around her face as she approached what appeared to be a crash site, but unlike anything she'd ever seen before. The vessel, if that's what it was, lay half buried in the red sand. Its surface shimmered with an iridescent quality that seemed to shift colors as she moved around it. No markings, no seams, just smooth, flowing lines that defied conventional engineering. As a former Air Force pilot, Raven knew this wasn't any experimental aircraft she'd ever encountered. A soft humming drew her attention to what appeared to be a breach in the hull. The opening pulsed with a gentle blue light, and without hesitation, Raven pulled out her emergency medical kit. If someone was trapped inside, they'd need help, regardless of where they came from. "Hello," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I'm here to help. I'm trained in emergency response." The humming intensified, and suddenly, a figure emerged from the breach. Raven's breath caught in her throat. The being before her was humanoid, but clearly not human. Tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer like mother-of-pearl, and eyes that held the depth of galaxies. What struck Raven most wasn't the alien's appearance, but the very human expression of pain and fear on their face. "Please," the being spoke, their voice melodious yet strained. "They must not find me." Before Raven could respond, the alien stumbled forward. Without thinking, she rushed to catch them, surprised by how light they felt in her arms despite their height. Up close, she could see that their ethereal appearance was marred by what appeared to be burns and cuts along their side. "I am Nixia," the being whispered, their eyes focusing intently on Raven's face. "Crown Princess of Astralis. And if they find me, both our worlds will burn." Raven's mind raced with questions, but years of emergency response training kicked in. Questions could wait. Right now, Nixia needed medical attention. She helped the princess to a sitting position against a boulder, shielding them from view of the open desert. "I'm Raven," she replied, already pulling supplies from her med kit. "And right now, Your Highness, we need to treat these injuries. Then we can worry about who's chasing you." As she worked, Raven noticed that Nixia's wounds seemed to respond differently to traditional treatments. The antiseptic she applied appeared to cause discomfort, but the princess's skin seemed to absorb the bandages, incorporating them into its shimmering surface. "Your methods are primitive," Nixia observed, though without judgment. "But your intent is pure." The legends spoke true of humanity's capacity for kindness. "Legends?" Raven asked, securing the last bandage. "Your people know about us." Nixia's expression grew grave. "We have watched your species for centuries. Some believed you too violent, too unpredictable to ever make contact with. Others, like myself, saw your potential, your capacity for growth, for compassion." She winced as she shifted position. "But now, I fear I brought danger to your doorstep." A distant sound caught Raven's attention, a low, pulsing hum different from the crashed ships. Her military instincts screamed danger. "Can you walk?" she asked, already gathering her supplies. Nixia nodded, though her face was strained. "They're coming. The Void Hunters. They tracked my vessel through the quantum wake." "Then we need to move," Raven said firmly, helping the princess to her feet. "I know these canyons better than anyone. Whatever's coming, they don't." As they began their careful retreat into the deepening shadows of the canyon, Raven felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. She'd spent her life preparing for emergencies, training others to survive in harsh conditions. But nothing had prepared her for this. Harboring an alien princess, fleeing from mysterious hunters, becoming suddenly entangled in what seemed to be an interstellar conflict. Yet as she guided Nixia through the twisting paths she knew by heart, Raven felt an unexpected sense of purpose. The princess's presence beside her felt right somehow, as if all her years of experience had been leading to this moment. The desert had always been her sanctuary, and now it would become their shield. The sun finally dipped below the horizon, plunging the canyon into darkness. Above them, the stars seemed to shine with new significance. Somewhere up there was Nixia's home, and whatever conflict had driven her to Earth. But down here, in the ancient paths of the desert, Raven made a silent vow. Whatever came next, whatever dangers they faced, she would protect this remarkable being who had quite literally fallen into her life. Shadows of pursuit. The Crimson Canyon lived up to its name as dawn broke over the desert landscape. Blood-red rock formations towered above Raven and Nixia as they navigated the treacherous terrain, their shadows stretching long against the ancient stone walls. They had traveled through the night, stopping only when Nixia's injuries demanded rest. "Your world's star is quite harsh," Nixia observed, her pearl-like skin seeming to absorb and reflect the morning light. She had fashioned a makeshift hood from Raven's spare shirt, concealing her otherworldly features. "That's why we need to find shelter soon," Raven replied, scanning the horizon with her binoculars. "The temperature will hit triple digits by noon." She paused, lowering the binoculars. "There's something you're not telling me about these void hunters." Nixia's ethereal eyes darkened. "They are the shadow arm of the Nexus Consortium, an organization that believes they alone should control interstellar travel and communication." She touched her healing wounds gently. "They fear what would happen if Earth joined the galactic community independently." A sound like thunder rolled across the canyon, but the sky remained clear. Raven recognized it as the same pulsing hum from the previous night, only closer. Much closer. "They're using quantum resonators," Nixia explained, her voice tight with urgency. "The devices can track the unique energy signature of my people. We cannot outrun them forever." Raven's mind raced through her options. She knew every hiding spot and cave system in these canyons, but against advanced alien technology, traditional concealment might not be enough. Then she remembered something from her Air Force days. "The old copper mine," she said, already adjusting their course. 3 clicks east of here. The mineral deposits mess with most scanning equipment. Might work on your quantum whatever too." They quickened their pace, but the rough terrain made swift movement dangerous. Loose rocks clattered beneath their feet, echoing off the canyon walls. The humidity thinned help up here, making each breath feel like fire in their lungs. The sound came again, closer this time, accompanied by a high-pitched whine that set Raven's teeth on edge. She risked a glance over her shoulder and caught sight of something that defied description. 3 sleek, dark shapes moving through the air like liquid shadow, leaving trails of distorted space in their wake. "Void hunters," Nixia breathed. "Their combat suits allow them to bend light and gravity itself." "Well, that's just cheating," Raven muttered, pulling Nixia behind a boulder as one of the shapes passed overhead. "How do we fight something like that?" "We don't," Nixia said, "but perhaps we can use your planet's natural forces against them." She pointed to a narrow crevice in the canyon wall. "The electromagnetic fields of your world are different from what their suits are calibrated for. In confined spaces, the distortion effect can become unstable." Raven grinned. "Now that's the kind of tactical information I can work with. The mine entrance is through there, but there's another way in, one that's not on any map." They worked their way along the canyon wall, staying close to the shadows. The Void Hunter's presence grew more pronounced. Raven could feel the air crackling with energy as they passed, like the moment before a lightning strike. The hidden entrance to the mine was barely more than a crack in the rock face, concealed behind a curtain of dried vegetation. Raven had discovered it years ago during a rescue operation. She pulled aside the camouflage and gestured Nixia through. "It's going to get tight in there," she warned. "And dark. But it opens up into the main tunnel system." They squeezed through the narrow passage just as a wave of energy pulsed through the canyon. Raven felt her hair stand on end, and Nixia's skin flickered with an internal light, like morning sun through opal. The passage twisted downward, forcing them to climb carefully over ancient mining equipment and fallen support beams. The air grew thick with dust and the metallic scent of copper. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, they emerged into a larger chamber. "The main shaft," Raven explained, pulling out a flashlight. "Miles of tunnels in every direction, and the whole place is laced with copper veins. If their tech is as sensitive as you say." A massive boom shook the chamber, sending cascades of dust and small rocks raining down. The Void Hunters had found the main entrance. "They're persistent," Nixia observed dryly, "and desperate. Using quantum resonators in these conditions could tear apart the very fabric of space-time." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Raven said, leading them deeper into the mine. "I know a chamber near the water table. We can hold up there until—" She never finished the sentence. A figure materialized out of the darkness ahead, its form rippling like heat waves off hot asphalt. The Void Hunter's suit seemed to drink in the beam from Raven's flashlight, creating a void in the shape of a person. Raven reacted on instinct, swinging her heavy flashlight at where she guessed the head would be. To her surprise, it connected with a solid thunk. The hunter staggered, its camouflage flickering wildly. The electromagnetic interference, Nixia realized. Their suits can't maintain stability. Two more hunters appeared behind the first, their forms wavering and glitching in the copper-rich environment. But even with malfunctioning suits, they were still deadly. Energy weapons materialized in their hands, casting an eerie blue glow through the tunnel. "Surrender the princess," a voice commanded, distorted and inhuman. "This primitive world need not suffer for her crimes." Raven felt Nixia tense beside her. "The only crime here is thinking you can threaten my planet." She shot back, her mind already formulating a plan. She remembered the unstable support beams they'd passed, weakened by decades of neglect. "Nixia," she whispered, "when I say run, head for the water chamber. Don't stop, no matter what you hear." The princess started to protest, but Raven was already moving. She hurled her flashlight at the nearest hunter, then charged forward, shoulder lowering into another. The confined space worked to her advantage. The hunters couldn't use their advanced movement capabilities without risking collision with the walls or each other. "Run," Raven shouted, grabbing a rusty support beam and pulling with all her strength. The ancient wood groaned, then cracked. The tunnel ceiling began to collapse, adding to the chaos of flashing energy weapons and flickering void suits. Raven dove through the falling debris, feeling the heat of energy bolts passing over her head. She rolled to her feet and sprinted after Nixia, the sound of the cave-in echoing behind them. They didn't stop running until they reached the water chamber, where the sound of underground springs drowned out everything else. "That was incredibly reckless," Nixia said when they finally caught their breath. "You could have been killed." "Yeah, well," Raven managed to smile despite her burning lungs. "Welcome to how we primitives do things." The underground network. The basement of Johansson's antique shop in Santa Fe looked like any other storage room, filled with dusty furniture and forgotten treasures. But as Raven and Nixia descended the narrow stairs, guided by the shop's owner, they discovered it was anything but ordinary. "Watch your step, ladies," said Thaddeus Johansson, an elderly man with a silver beard and keen eyes that betrayed his sharp intelligence. "And princess, you might want to drop the glamour. We're among friends here." Nixia's eyes widened in surprise, but she lowered the hood that had been concealing her features. Her pearlescent skin caught the dim light, creating subtle rainbows on the walls. "You know what I am. My dear, I've been helping your kind find sanctuary on Earth for 30 years. Thaddeus pressed his hand against what appeared to be a solid concrete wall. A hidden scanner hummed to life. reading his palm print. "Welcome to the underground network." The wall slid aside silently, revealing a high-tech facility that seemed completely at odds with the antique shop above. People of various nationalities moved purposefully through the space, working at advanced computer stations or examining pieces of technology that were definitely not from Earth. "Zara," Thaddeus called out, "we have that special guest you were expecting." A woman emerged from a nearby office, her dark skin contrasting with the stark white of her laboratory coat. Dr. Zara Hassan carried herself with the confidence of someone used to handling crisis, her quick eyes taking in every detail of the newcomers. "Princess Nixia," Zara said, offering a slight bow. "When our sensors detected your quantum signature entering Earth's atmosphere, we feared the worst. The Void Hunters aren't known for letting their targets escape." "They nearly didn't," Raven interjected, still processing the existence of this hidden facility. "If these tunnels are as secret as they seem, we should be safe here, right?" Zara's expression grew serious. "For the moment. But the Void Hunters are just the beginning. The Nexus Consortium has agents everywhere, even on Earth. They've been working to prevent official first contact for decades." "But why?" Raven asked. "What are they so afraid of?" "Power," Nixia answered, moving to examine a holographic display showing what appeared to be a map of local star systems. Earth sits at a crucial junction point between several major spacefaring civilizations. Once humanity achieves official first contact status, you'll have the right to negotiate your own treaties, establish your own trade routes, which would break the consortium's monopoly on interstellar commerce, Zara added. "They've worked too hard to maintain their control to let that happen now." A young technician rushed up to Zara, tablet in hand. "Doctor, we're detecting unusual energy signatures in the upper atmosphere, multiple ships dropping out of quantum space." "They're calling for reinforcements," Nixia said grimly. "The Hunters must have reported my location to their superiors." Raven watched as the facility erupted into controlled chaos, with technicians and operators moving quickly to their stations. "I'm guessing this isn't the first time you've dealt with something like this." The network was established by a group of scientists, military personnel, and civilians who understood that humanity needed to be prepared for the reality of extraterrestrial contact, Zara explained, leading them through the facility. "We've been working in secret, gathering alien technology, providing sanctuary to refugees like Nixia, and developing defenses against less friendly visitors." They entered a large circular room dominated by a massive holographic projection of Earth and its surrounding space. Red dots appeared in orbit, marking the positions of the consortium ships. 7 vessels, Thaddeus noted, stroking his beard. "Bigger than anything we've dealt with before." "Because they're not just here for me," Nixia said softly. "They're here to make an example of Earth, to show what happens to worlds that dare to challenge their authority." Raven studied the tactical display, her military training kicking in. "These ships, they use the same quantum technology as the Hunter's suits." Zara nodded. "Similar principles, yes. The copper in the mine disrupted their personal shields." "Why?" "Because Earth has something they don't expect us to have." Raven turned to Nixia. "You said their quantum tech is calibrated for different electromagnetic fields. What would happen if we amplified Earth's natural fields? Created a resonance that their systems couldn't handle?" Zara's eyes lit up with understanding. "The Tesla array. It's experimental. But it might be our only chance," Thaddeus finished. "Zara, your team has been working on incorporating alien tech into the array. How close are you to a functioning prototype?" "We've solved the power regulation issues, but we've never tested it at full capacity. The risks are less than the risk of doing nothing." Nixia interrupted. She turned to address everyone in the room. "My people have watched humanity for centuries, debating whether you were ready for contact. In less than 2 days, I've seen more courage, ingenuity, and compassion than I could have imagined. You've earned the right to choose your own path among the stars." Raven felt the weight of the moment. understanding that they stood at a turning point, not just for two people who met by chance in the desert, but for two entire civilizations. Then let's give them a proper Earth welcome. Dr. Hassan, what do you need? Everything we got, Zara replied, already moving to a control station. And probably a miracle. Hearts across stars. In the quiet hours before dawn, the underground network's facility hummed with nervous energy as final preparations for the Tesla array continued. Raven found Nixia in the observation dome, her ethereal form silhouetted against the star-filled sky. The princess had shed her earthly disguise, her natural bioluminescence casting soft patterns on the curved glass above. "You should be resting," Raven said softly, moving to stand beside her. "Tomorrow will test us all." "On my world, the stars tell different stories," Nixia replied, her voice carrying a note of melancholy. "But they're just as beautiful from here." She turned to face Raven, her galaxial eyes reflecting pinpoints of light, perhaps even more so with the right company. The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Since their chance meeting in the desert, something had grown between them, something neither had dared to name. Raven stepped closer, close enough to see the subtle shifts of color beneath Nixia's skin. "When this is over," Raven began, then hesitated. "What happens then?" "You're wondering if I return to Astralis," Nixia said, reading the question behind the question. "To my duties, my throne, my people. It's where you belong." "Is it?" Nixia's hand found Raven's, her touch sending a warm current through Raven's skin. "In 2 Earth days, you've shown me more about leadership, courage, and connection than a lifetime of royal training. My people believe in destiny, Raven. What if my crash landing in your desert wasn't an accident?" Before Raven could respond, Zara's voice came through the intercom. "We're picking up movement from the consortium fleet, multiple ships changing orbit. They're positioning for something big." The moment shattered, reality rushing back in. They hurried to the command center, where Thaddeus and Zara were studying the tactical displays. The holographic images showed the 7 consortium ships moving into a precise formation. "They're preparing for a synchronized quantum burst," Nixia explained, her royal training evident in her analysis. "A show of force designed to overwhelm planetary defenses." "How long?" Thaddeus asked, his usual jovial manner replaced by military precision. 3 hours, maybe 4. They'll wait for the optimal orbital alignment." Zara pulled up the schematics for the Tesla array. "The modifications are complete, but we've only got enough power for one shot. If we miss our window, then we don't miss," Raven said firmly. She studied the orbital projections, noting the intersection points. "We need to draw them closer, make them commit to a tighter formation. The array will be more effective if they're clustered. They'll be suspicious of any obvious bait," Thaddeus warned. Nixia stepped forward, her royal bearing more pronounced than ever. "Then we give them something they can't resist." "Me? Absolutely not," Raven protested immediately. "We just got you to safety. The consortium wants to make an example of Earth." Nixia's skin flickered with determination. "Let's give them a stage. I'll transmit an open challenge. Invoke the ancient rights of my people. They'll have to respond according to protocol, which means bringing their ships into ceremonial formation." "That's suicide," Raven argued, but Zara was already nodding. "It could work. The array would have a clear shot at their entire fleet." "I won't let you sacrifice yourself," Raven insisted, turning to Nixia. "There has to be another way." The princess caught Raven's hands in her own. "My whole life, I've been protected, sheltered, told what I can and cannot do. But you, Raven Blackwood, you showed me what it means to truly lead, to put yourself between danger and those you protect." She smiled, the expression both sad and determined. "Let me be worthy of that lesson." Their eyes met, and in that moment, all the things they hadn't said became clear. Raven saw in Nixia not just an alien princess, but a kindred spirit who understood duty, sacrifice, and the courage to face impossible odds. "Then we do this together," Raven declared. "The network has access to short-range shuttles, right?" She turned to Zara, who nodded. "Good, because I have a plan. It's crazy, probably impossible, and definitely against every protocol you have." "Those are quickly becoming my favorite kinds of plans," Thaddeus remarked, his eyes twinkling. As they gathered around the tactical display, Raven outlined her strategy. It was audacious, combining Nixia's knowledge of consortium protocols with Earth's experimental technology and Raven's own military experience. The plan would put both of them in extreme danger, but it also offered the best chance of success and survival. "Your people have legends about humanity," Raven said to Nixia as they finalized the details. "After tomorrow, let's give them a new one to tell." Throughout the facility, the network's personnel moved with renewed purpose. Engineers made final adjustments to the Tesla array, tactical teams prepared the shuttle, and communication specialists monitored the consortium fleet's movements. But in a quiet moment between preparations, Raven and Nixia found themselves alone again. "In my culture," Nixia said softly, "warriors share a blessing before battle." She placed her hand over Raven's heart, her touch warm and electric. "May your courage light the darkness, and may your heart find its way home." Raven covered Nixia's hand with her own. "On Earth, we have a simpler way of saying it." She leaned forward, closing the distance between them, and kissed her. The contact was brief but intense, like touching a star. When they parted, Nixia's skin was glowing brighter than ever. "Perhaps," she whispered, "Earth's customs have certain advantages." Above them, the consortium ships continued their ominous dance, unaware that their carefully laid plans were about to collide with something they'd never counted on. The combined strength of two hearts from different worlds, beating as one. The final stand. Dawn broke over the ancient observatory perched atop Mount Wilson, its weathered dome gleaming in the early morning light. Inside the historic structure, the underground network had transformed the century-old facility into a command center for humanity's first deliberate stand against an alien threat. The Tesla array's components had been carefully integrated into the observatory's massive telescope, disguising Earth's secret weapon as a simple radio astronomy installation. Raven performed final checks on her pressure suit, a hybrid of Earth technology, and salvaged alien tech. Beside her, Nixia stood resplendent in her royal regalia, her natural luminescence enhanced by ceremonial markings that swirled across her skin like living constellations. "The consortium ships are entering final position," Zara reported from her station. "All 7 vessels maintaining ceremonial formation. Time to give them their show," Nixia said, her voice carrying both authority and affection, as she caught Raven's eye. "Ready to make history?" "Born ready," Raven replied with a confident smile, "though usually my missions don't involve quite so many alien warships." They'd made their way to the small shuttle concealed beneath the observatory's dome. The craft was a marvel of hybrid engineering, incorporating both human ingenuity and alien technology. Thaddeus waited for them by the entry hatch. "The array is charged to maximum capacity," he reported, "but we'll only get one shot at this. The power requirements are—" He paused, stroking his beard. "Well, let's just say we'll be borrowing electricity from 3 states. As long as it works," Raven said, checking her tactical display one last time. Everyone clear on their positions. The plan was audacious, combining Nixia's understanding of consortium protocol with Raven's military tactics. The princess would make her ceremonial appearance, drawing the fleet into precise formation. Meanwhile, Raven would pilot their shuttle into position, hidden in the electromagnetic shadow of the array's initial power buildup. "Remember," Nixia addressed the command center staff, "timing is everything. The consortium must believe they're witnessing a formal surrender until the very last moment." The shuttle systems hummed to life as Raven and Nixia boarded. Through the view screen, they watched the observatory's dome split open, revealing the star-filled sky above. The consortium ships were visible even in daylight, their quantum drives creating distortions in the atmosphere. All units in position. Zara's voice came through the comm. Array charging at 30%. Time to transmission window, 5 minutes. Raven engaged the shuttle's stealth systems, technologies refined from decades of studying crashed alien vessels. You know, she said as they ascended through the morning air, when I was leading desert expeditions, I never imagined I'd end up in the middle of an interstellar showdown. When I fled my world, Nixia replied, her hand finding Ravens on the control panel. I never imagined I'd find something worth fighting for beyond my duty. Her skin pulsed with gentle light. Funny how life surprises us. Their moment was interrupted by a massive holographic projection that filled the sky. The consortium fleet's commander, a being wrapped in shadows and quantum distortions, appeared before them. Princess Nixia of Astralis, the commander's voice boomed. You have led us on quite a chase. Are you prepared to face the consequences of your actions? Nixia stood, her royal bearing on full display. I am prepared to speak truth to power, she declared, her voice carrying across all frequencies. The consortium's monopoly on interstellar relations ends today. Earth has proven itself worthy of its place among the stars. Bold words from a fallen princess. The commander sneered. Your primitive allies cannot hope to stand against. Array at full charge. Zara's voice cut through the comm. Energy signature maximal. Now, Raven shouted, engaging the shuttle's quantum drives. The Tesla array erupted to life, sending a massive electromagnetic pulse skyward. The consortium ships, locked in their ceremonial formation, took the full brunt of the attack. Their quantum fields began to destabilize, creating cascading failures throughout their systems. But the plan wasn't finished. As the ships struggled to maintain their structural integrity, Raven piloted their shuttle directly into the heart of the formation. The small craft, shielded by the array's electromagnetic wake, was nearly invisible to the failing sensors of the consortium vessels. Transmission ready, Nixia announced, her hands dancing over the alien controls, broadcasting on all frequencies. The message they sent was simple but powerful. Proof of the consortium's illegal activities, their attempts to suppress Earth's development, and their violations of numerous interstellar treaties. The transmission went out not just to Earth, but to every major spacefaring civilization within range. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Zora's voice was excited. Ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. It's the Astralis Defense Fleet. Through the shuttle's view screen, they watched as sleek vessels materialized around the disabled consortium ships. Each bore the royal crest of Astralis, their weapons primed but held in check. This is Admiral Lyra of the Astralis Defense Fleet, a new voice declared across all channels. By authority of the Galactic Council, we are here to take the consortium fleet into custody. Earth's sovereignty is hereby recognized and protected under interstellar law. Cheers erupted through the command center's comm channel. Raven let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, turning to find Nixia's eyes filled with joyful tears. You planned this, Raven said with admiration. The transmission was a signal to your fleet. I had faith, Nixia replied, moving closer. Faith in my people, faith in Earth, and faith in you. She touched Raven's face gently. The question now is, what comes next? As they watched the Astralis fleet secure the consortium ships, Earth's first official contact with alien civilizations playing out before them, Raven smiled. I hear the desert is beautiful this time of year, she said, perfect for a princess who might want to serve as Earth's first alien ambassador. She pulled Nixia closer. Unless you have other plans. My plans, Nixia whispered, her luminescence brightening with joy, involve staying exactly where I belong, helping bridge the gap between our worlds, and staying with the person who taught me that true courage means following your heart across the stars. Below them, the sun rose fully over the horizon, bathing Earth in golden light. It was a new dawn in more ways than one. For humanity, for two hearts that found each other against impossible odds, and for a future where the boundaries between worlds grew just a little bit smaller. The ancient observatory, witness to so many of humanity's first steps into understanding the cosmos, had just witnessed perhaps its greatest discovery yet, that love, courage, and determination could bridge even the vast distances between stars.